going on?
Sanders, what's going on?
It's Mega Maid. She's gone from suck to blow.
What? They're getting all their air back. Do something.
Do something.
Do something!
So over the past week or so, we've been getting steadily more and more details about Heroes Reborn, which doesn't really seem like it should be the name of this event, but whatever. It's Marvel's event. It's going to be coming out in May. And, I think most people have been wondering, where's Spider-Man? Where's Peter Parker? Well, we had the answer, and it turns out he's Jimmy Olsen. And we have a couple other series to talk about that are going to be coming out with this Heroes Reborn. I guess they're doing a lot of one-shots. Obviously, there's going to be even more tie-ins in this. I imagine this isn't going to be the whole lineup, but we will continue to cover it right here on Thinking Critical. Obviously, here with me is the X-Men historian, the Marvel aficionado. Doc, how you doing, buddy?
I am good, sir. Yourself? I'm happy to be here.
Well, I am doing great. I'm glad to have you here to talk a little bit more about Heroes Reborn. Obviously, we talked about it not too long ago, but we do have the new deets. And, we were wondering what the hell happened to Peter Parker. Obviously, he is the flagship solo character for Marvel Comics. He was not going to be included in Heroes Reborn. And I can't imagine them doing anything less interesting and more boring. Or kind of, I don't know, is it more depressing with the character? Apparently, if he never got bitten by a radioactive spider, he would just be some type of hero butt kisser like Jimmy Olsen, who wants to be Hyperion's best buddy.
Look, Hyperion's obviously the Marvel Superman. His origin is identical. Except for the only difference is he gets raised by the government instead of by some nice farm folk out in Kansas. This is basically Marvel Age of DC. It is. I mean, because look, the Squadron's always been Marvel's version of the Justice League. You're essentially wiping out the Avengers in this event to replace them with the Justice League. So this is Marvel's Age of What If I'm DC?
Yeah, so it's Age of Apocalypse, obviously, for the Avengers, but there are no Avengers. There is this second-rate version of the Justice League, Marvel's Justice League. Very, very disappointed with the details so far, but none so more really than this Peter Parker Amazing Shutterbug. What a terrible name, and what a terrible fate for an amazing character. They couldn't come up with anything interesting that Peter Parker would have done with his life if he hadn't been bitten by a radioactive spider. It's not like he's a genius. It's not like he's quick on his feet or capable of anything. He would just be a photographer going around trying and sniffing Hyperion's butt if he never became a superhero himself.
It's like they're forgetting that, one of the reasons why Spidey didn't go and start a business or become a world-class scientist is because he couldn't keep a real 9-to-5 job because of being Spider-Man. That's really what it comes down to. Regardless, he always had the intellect. I mean, Parker Technologies, I guarantee, okay, maybe he wouldn't have done it at 17 or 19, but by the time he's in his early 20s, the guy would be like some rock star scientist at, Roxxon or Alchemex or one of these other multinationals.
Wouldn't it be more interesting if there was a one shot with this weird conflict between Peter Parker, super genius, and Tony Stark, super genius, who never became Iron Man, or something like that?
Yeah, or anything. I mean, literally, Parker, I guarantee, they could have easily done it where, Parker. Okay, I don't even know if Tony's alive in this reality. I'm assuming he's not, because I'm assuming most of the current Avengers lineup is not. And as a result, Parker, gets recruited to Stark Technologies, and he's already running something by 26 in that, because it would have been kind of a little bit of a callback to the, Civil War Iron Spider, the comic or the movies with him being kind of Tony's protege. Also, him being a world-class friggin' scientist. There's no reason why Peter Parker, absent being Spider-Man, wouldn't have turned into Tony Stark without having it be, and why he would have only been Jimmy friggin' Olsen.
And if you did the Peter Parker as Tony Stark, like, well, that'd be boring. Well, you could do it interesting. You could show the differences between the personalities of Peter Parker and Tony Stark, where Peter is much more humble, more forward-thinking, things like that. And maybe he doesn't make the exact same mistakes with some of the inventions that Tony did that kind of went awry and kind of turned on him.
He could have done all kinds of crazy stuff. It wouldn't have been surprising to see me, Peter Parker, absent being Spider-Man, actually become Iron Man. Just relegating him to...
Or he wouldn't even have to be Iron Man. He could just be a technology-based hero.
Yes, any sort of technology-based hero. But relegating him to doing nothing but being Jimmy Olsen is a fundamental misunderstanding of who Peter Parker is.
And this is no slight against Jimmy Olsen or people that like that character. He has an amazing place in Superman lore. He has an amazing place in DC history and, within that universe. But he and Peter Parker are not analogous to each other.
No, and one is a legitimate, super genius. Like one of the smartest people on the planet. The other is a perfectly average intelligence,
very resourceful reporter.
Yeah, a recorder, a very clever journalist. That's it. They're not the same.
He fits in that universe, but to shoehorn that as being Peter Parker, the Amazing Shutterbug, just so disappointing.
I mean, unless they're going to go with some crazy Jack Kirby Fourth World stuff out of this, but it's going to be for 3 months. So,
no, this is a one shot.
Oh, yeah. You're right. These are most one shots.
Report is 1 month. It's going to come out weekly for 4 weeks.
Okay, I thought it stretched over a couple, but yeah.
Well, if you're going to get 12 events in a year, you gotta get them in a month.
You got a point there. I mean, they've done a lot of overlapping ones. I'm waiting for them to get up to 30, 40 events per month.
So what are you thinking about their creative team? The writer is going to be Marc Bernardin, and the artist is Rafael de Latorre. I'm surprised they didn't get bigger names for this, since it is Peter Parker. It is the flagship.
This is just them thinking that they can stick anybody on a Peter Parker book. I'll be honest, though, looking at the whole lineup of all these titles, you got 4 talented creators across all of them combined. So it's not like Heroes Reborn was exactly stacked with talent.
The problems with Marvel's strategy here is they're overlapping all these events, and they really just don't have enough talent to fill in those slots. So you're getting a lot of, lesser known creators. Are they good? Time will
maybe
tell. A lot of these creators we know aren't all that good, or maybe are just average.
Like Jim Zub's on one of them, and he's a okay writer.
He's the guy you put on a series that is going to die in 6 months.
You can either put him on a series that is going to die in 6 months, or you can put him on a book that you just want it to get average, median, a good book that you only care about getting decent sales on. It doesn't need to be a headliner. Steve Orlando, same type of thing. He's a mediocre writer. He's done some really good stuff. He's done some really terrible stuff. Bernard Chang is a good artist.
I like him. He's a good artist.
And
you can tell that Magneto and the Mutant Force is kind of earmarked to be the bigger.
Yeah. And Paco Medina is also a very, very good artist that people, respond to. But other than that, that's none of these other ones. Most of them are a bunch of nobodies.
I mean, we do have a couple other series we need to talk about. It's obvious that Hyperion and the Squadron Supreme, as you said, are the replacements for the Avengers. But we've got Hyperion and the Imperial Guard. Looks like he's got Gladiator and some other heroes with him. Apparently, they're going to be going to the negative zone. What's up?
Yeah, it's Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes. That's literally what this is. It's that Silver Age Superboy. Superman gets taken into the future and has some adventures with the Legion in the 30th century. Because look, the Imperial Guard has always been Marvel's version of the Legion, except for in present day. working in another side of the galaxy. It's a teenage Hyperion with the Imperial Guard, which, I mean, hey, but it's basically Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes, which doesn't look terrible. I'm hoping that maybe they connect this back to some of the old, like, 80s X-Men, since the X-Men aren't really involved in this, like, they don't really exist. Dekens, like the original emperor of the Shi'ar Empire, Deken, that tried to take over Earth, well, thought about taking over Earth. Hyperion stops him or something as our Superman, and then Lilandra takes the throne instead of the X-Men being involved. That's probably the way that's going to go.
This one's Ryan Cady and Michelle Bandini. Again, like, how are you supposed to get excited about that?
Yeah, the only thing even remotely exciting is I'll be honest, even Chris Sprouse's cover for it is really phoned in.
It's generic.
It is. It's very, very, very phoned in.
Well, the last one we haven't talked about is this. The one that actually kind of looks interesting is Siege Society, which is, I guess, is the villains. We've got a bunch of heroes turned villain in this one. We've got Clint Barton, Natasha Romanoff, Scott Lang. Obviously, Victor Creed is a villain, being led by, it looks to be Baron Zemo, as they're taking on, I guess there was a Squadron Supreme Civil War, and half the Squadron Supreme ended up in Europe with Nighthawk, and I guess they're fighting Nighthawk in his version of Squadron Supreme.
Yeah, it's literally them photocopying the Secret Society from DC with a bunch of villains acting kind of heroic.
Maybe they should have just called it Marvel Comics Rebirth.
Probably should have just called it Marvel Comics DC Birth, although that might have actually gotten them sued. But no, this is literally them just trying to copy. This is what if we were DC for a month. It's almost like the world's worst version and idea of. Do you remember back, like, I mean, I don't think you were reading comics then, but back in the early 2000s, around 2001, 2002, they did the Just Imagine Stan Lee inventing, where he reinvented all of the DC. This looks like what, just imagine if DC created the Marvel Universe.
Well, DC did something similar. Well, kind of similar. They did that New Age of Heroes spinning out of Dark Knight's Metal.
Oh, yeah.
Where all those heroes were essentially Marvel heroes in the DC universe. You had
Damage was Hulk, Sideways was Spidey.
The Terrifics were the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff.
They both have a history of this, of just kind of like doing weird photocopies of each other's characters and even each other's lineups. The difference is this is them like almost photocopying. It's weird. I mean, at least with all those other things, they used original characters. This is Marvel turning their own characters into DC characters, which is really, really weird. And I don't think I like it.
Joe said it should have been called Marvel Future State. Maybe it should have been.
He's not wrong.
So, on Siege Society, they do have the better artist. It is Paco Medina, and I did think that was exciting, but I've never even heard of the writer. Who's Cody Ziegler?
Never even, not a clue who this dude is. I'm assuming it's a dude.
Debut.
What's that?
Maybe it's his debut with Marvel.
It could be, but I've never even heard of him as an indie creator. So it's, just somebody they grabbed.
Man, you know what's going to happen, Doc? The world's biggest Cody Ziegler fan is going to be watching this video, and he's going to crap all over us in the comments. I'm sorry. I've never heard of the guy. When I saw the name, I was like, I guess they needed Paco Medina to put something on here because no one's heard of the writer.
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, that doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily an indictment that he's a bad writer by any stretch. I'm just saying that nobody's ever heard of this dude.
Yeah, that's why they kind of have run out of talent because they've done so many events. It feels like there's no one left to kind of pick these things up. Now, we shall see if Heroes Reborn is going to be a big success. Obviously, we're continuing to cover it here on the channel. We just talked about it yesterday on the Comics Aficionados. I don't know. I would have expected a more interesting fate for Peter Parker than Jimmy Olsen. I'm dumbfounded, Doc.
I mean, I'm not surprised that they're turning that they needed to make this a Hyperion centric universe, because it makes it a Superman centric universe. But turning Peter Parker into Jimmy Olsen in order to be Hyperion's little buddy sidekick, is Hyperion gonna walk over and like frazzle his hair a little bit and be like, "Oh, you little stinker"?
Oh, little buddy.
Yeah. And I don't know. Just no. Stop it. Stop it, Marvel. Stop it.
Honestly, I'm going to review at least the first issue of Heroes Reborn. Probably not the tie-ins unless one of them's just amazingly bad. Even if it is.
I'll read that Siege Society book just because it is like, the Secret Six. That's the one I'm thinking of, the Secret Six over at DC. Because that's really what that book is, just the Secret Six book. And that's kind of cool. And so I'll check that one out. I'm probably even going to pass on the Magneto and the Mutant Force thing. I might read that. But at the same time, I feel like any success this has is going to reflect back on Jason Aaron as not being a complete and utter hack.
Well, we don't want that to happen.
No, we don't. So I think we need to not buy this because I want Jason Aaron to leave and vanish and go away.
Aaron needs a break so he can recharge his batteries. He's had some success, but it feels like he's run out of good ideas. Heroes Reborn, hey, there have been ideas that I've seen. I'm like, oh, this is going to be terrible. Then I liked it. There have been ideas I've seen. I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. And I hated it. So maybe this isn't the latter, but it doesn't feel like it because we got enough details now.
Yeah, I don't. None of this really seems all that interesting to me, and Jason Aaron doesn't need to recharge. He needs to just go away.
Well, there you go. Thank you very much, Doc.
Thank you, sir.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.